Hey everyone, I'm John Lynn, the founder of Sway.Health, and we're excited to bring you another in our series of interviews with top leaders in healthcare marketing. And our guest today is a longtime member of the community, Lea Chatham. She's Vice President of Marketing at Gozio Health. Welcome, Lea.
Thanks, John. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on video. You know, you're getting your clients, so it's fun to mix it up.
I love that.
But tell us a little bit about yourself and Gozio Health.
Well, like you said, I'm a longtime member of the community and have been working in health IT and healthcare for about 25 years. And so lots of experience on both sides. I joined Gozio Health two and a half years ago and have sort of stepped in and taken over all of their marketing. But patient experience, which is their focus, really is where I've been for quite a while now. And I love their solution, which is all about making that experience mobile and putting all of a health system solutions in one place that's easy to access on your phone, you know, the same way that you would if it was Delta or Chick-fil-A or, you know, whatever it might be. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Great.
Well, we've done lots of work with Gozio Health from a kind of B2C perspective and the patient experience perspective. But I'm excited to talk with you about the healthcare B2B marketing because you have such a depth of experience, in that space. So talk to us. How have you seen lead generation in the healthcare B2B space evolve over time?
It has evolved a lot. And I think in particular this last few years, as we sort of went into COVID, we've come out of COVID, and everybody's sort of way they work has changed. And the biggest thing I think really is there's a lot of noise in healthcare and health IT now. And it's very challenging to sort of break through that and get people's attention. And I think what we're finding is your greatest chance for success is generally going to be that you have something really worthwhile to share, right? You've done a survey or some other kind of research project, right? Or you have great customer stories to tell that have real meat behind them. Because if it's not something really meaty and interesting that can grab people's attention and feel new and useful to them, I feel like it's almost impossible to kind of get that, get in front of people and get them to engage with you.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that the noise might be part of the challenge because everyone went virtual. And so the noise amped up as everyone went virtual. That's a really interesting.
Yeah.
We've seen something interesting where for webinars, you used to promote them 3 months out and people would sign up.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're signing up the week before. And I don't know if that's a mentality thing that they're like, I don't know what's going to happen in 3 months, so I'm not making that prediction.
Exactly. I think it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a huge evolution.
Yes.
What do you see as some of the best ways to approach lead generation today? Is it webinars or, white papers, ebooks? How do you, what do you think are some of the best techniques?
I think it's getting to the place where a lot of it is trying to find the right sort of third-party places to put things. So is this the place where people are getting their information? It's a trusted source. It might be that it's an organization like Chime, or it might be it's a publication like Becker's or Modern Healthcare or Healthcare IT Today, whatever it is that they're doing, right? But making it really a partnership where you're doing a lot of things and having a sustainable sort of presence in those places with interesting, relevant content that's changing and, tells a story sort of over time in that way. I think that webinars and virtual events are still useful, but you have to be very thoughtful about where it is and how you promote it and what the content is and all those things. Whereas it used to be, you would have a program where you just said, I do a webinar a month and I bring somebody in and we do these things. And it's just like a given, it's sort of on the schedule or whatever. Now it's like, don't do it unless you really have something valuable to share, right? And the same with a white paper or any other content. If it's not really valuable and useful, you're probably wasting your time.
Interesting. Well, you mentioned kind of doing a package. Talk to us about how you balance lead generation versus, say, thought leadership. Do you do it as an integrated campaign? Do you see them separate? How do you approach, and how do you balance, and of course the CEO is always like, wait, I want leads, and
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
I want thought leadership because that drives.
Yeah.
How do you balance those two?
I think it is looking at things as sort of a bigger, like I always say, nothing is without sort of purpose, right? Everything should be part of a campaign, even a press release or a social media post, right? It should all connect and tell a story. And so you do have to sort of look at it as my thought leadership and the topics I'm talking about is sort of what's driving stuff, right? And the lead gen part is a piece of that. And hopefully people find that content interesting and then engage with you, right? And are willing to give you their information to get it, right?
Sure.
So I think it is about having good thought leadership as the thing that sort of drives your lead gen, right? I don't think you have a lot of success if you're just doing ads or promotions that are like, schedule a demo with us or come see us at XYZ. You really have to have something to offer.
Yeah. I finally found my first vendor that may work because that's I'm being clinical voice because, but like beyond that, no one schedules a demo straight away. Like it just literally doesn't happen.
So and I think that process now is longer and slower, and you're trying to build a relationship, and a lot of the events that seem more effective are the ones that are smaller and more intimate, where you have a chance to really spend time with people. And so it's this long, slow process of people getting to know you, and you're trying to give them something interesting and build a relationship before you're ever talking about demos and, product stuff. Yeah.
Well, I call you the webinar queen because whenever anyone says, what should I be doing in a webinar? I think, what would Lea do? And I teach him that. So tell us, what are some of your tips and tricks for doing webinars effectively, or maybe even some tips to don't do this because that's not effective.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I always say the most important thing is setting realistic expectations. So if you are doing an educational webinar, you obviously want to talk about what people are going to learn. If you're doing a webinar that's more of like a demo and talking about your product, you need to be really upfront about the fact that you're talking about your product and you're doing something that's like a demo, right? And they play different roles at different times. But the number one thing is always realistic expectations, because if somebody shows up and it's not what they're expecting and you said it was educational, but it's actually a demo, right? People get very upset. So you're trying to build trust and build a relationship. And that's the first thing, right? Is they get what they expect to get. The second thing I think is really just about one of those things maybe you can't teach or learn, that whoever it is who's in there, whether it's a couple people or a panel or it's one person, seems like a real person and is personable and not over rehearsed and over practiced and reading from a script and doing those kinds of things. Because you could have the best content, but if you have somebody who's very dry and not very engaging and seems like they're, reading, people will sort of check out and not engage. You could have somebody who maybe seems a little goofy and makes mistakes, but people really like them, and feel connected to them because of their personality. So I think those are the two things I always try to keep in mind: is sort of the right person to present and setting realistic expectations about what people will get out of it.
That's great. I think the thing that I've seen you do that you're a master at is the last 3 minutes when you actually talk about the product.
Yeah.
Some people forget to do that, right? And you do it so masterfully in a way that says, and this is how I frame it to people, I think this is what you do, this is what I've observed, is that you go and in that 3 minutes you say, this is how we could help you.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much go buy our product, this is what we do, but it's like, hey, if this is a problem for you, this is how we can help you. And it's nice because if people have invested that time in the webinar and listened to it, they're okay with 3 minutes of, oh, how can you help me, right? If you were just saying, hey, come buy our product, that doesn't make sense. But if you come at from the perspective of, how can I help you? The audience says, oh, well, I need help. Or maybe I don't need that right now, but now I've been informed, oh, they can do that.
Yes, yeah. So, and I think it is important to set the stage that way, to say, so we've just told you about this challenge, or we've just told you about all this new data and information, and if you're trying to address this, here's where we can kind of step in and solve that problem for you or help you figure that out, right? And then just to say, and if you want to talk about it, raise your hand and we'll follow up with you. Sure. And then you really know who's interested and who's engaged, and right. I think it's such an important question at the end to have that poll or have that whatever that says tell us if you want to talk more. Yeah. And then they're sort of reaching out to say, yes, I want to talk more to you, instead of you just cold calling everybody trying to figure that out. And that can be very effective too.
Yeah, I actually learned it here. We're here at the Chime conference, the Chime Fall Forum, and they do the focus groups here. And one of the feedback one time, the guy was trying to be really respectful and just do real content.
Yep.
And the feedback he got on the forum was, hey, I appreciate that you are being respectful of us and doing content, but if you can help us, let us know too, right? Like,
I've had the same feedback. Last year, I had the feedback of, you haven't told us enough about your product. I said, well, I don't want to be like a sales pitch in here. I want to give you really like meaty, interesting stuff to talk about, you know? And they're like, yeah, but we actually want to hear about your product.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it, always gets it right, but it is trying to strike the right balance, I think, between, you know, where's the moment where you kind of talk a little bit about what you can do and how you can help. And if you can get that just right, then yes, I think you really can get people to be interested in talking to you more.
So tell me, you know, what technology or maybe marketing solution are you keeping your eye on right now? Is there something you're kind of like, ooh, this could be helpful for me?
Well, I will say, while I'm sort of hesitant around AI to some degree in the marketing space, and you know, Colin had asked once about, what do you think about AI? And I said, I don't know. I'm a little bit like, I tried to do a blog post and it came back with all these crazy stats, and they turned out they weren't real. But I am kind of interested in some of the solutions that do things like easy graphics for social, or you know, things that sort of say, like Canva saved us all a little bit of time by giving some templates and making it easy to do, like a nice, right? And now there are AI solutions that will actually create the whole thing for you based on your brand. Yeah, right. With your branding and the whole thing, and you can kind of get something that feels like it was designed by a designer, not by somebody who just went in and like plugged in a logo and a color or whatever. So I think in things like that, there's some cool stuff happening in AI that is easy to use, does save you some time, gives you some benefit, and I'm still a little nervous about the piece that is write me an article or write me a blog post, because I find still you get some weird stuff when you do that, right? You have to go in and do the cleanup and the editing. But I'm cautiously optimistic in keeping my eye on some of those tools.
Interesting. Yeah, the imagery stuff is interesting. You know, for me, I want them to resolve the whole rights issue on that, because I'm still hesitant on that.
Yeah. I think there's lots to be sort of wary and hesitant, you know, just to be cautious, but potential, big potential. Yeah.
Well, Lea, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us and share your insights and perspectives. And thanks everyone for watching and listening.
Bye, everybody.
If you want to find more great healthcare marketing content like this, be sure to check it out at Sway. That's Sway with 2 A's.health. Thanks, Lea.
Yeah, thank you.